CTV News with Mitsumi Takahashi.
Good evening. At the National Assembly today, a new session with a new premier. And it's going to be a short session. Christine Fréchette's government has just 5 weeks to push through its political agenda. Olivia O'Malley reports.
Avec notre nouveau gouvernement, le Québec a une nouvelle vision et de nouvelles ambitions.
Quebec's 33rd Premier, Christine Fréchette, started the session with her top priorities. Her government will only have 17 days to bring change.
On ne pourra pas tout changer.
While the Premier says they won't be able to change everything, she's focusing on 5 priorities, starting with identity. On Wednesday, the CAQ is expected to table a bill to renew its notwithstanding clause. This will protect the province's French language law, Bill 96, from court challenges.
We heard Quebecers. They all said that they want to protect French. So that's the reason why we bring that back, and it's going to be good for years now.
The legislation must be renewed every 5 years, but Fréchette's first bill would renew it early. It would force the Liberal Party to clarify its position on the use of the clause ahead of the October election.
It's not going to change anything with regards to the French language tomorrow morning. The disposition is already in place. It's not going to improve how our kids succeed or not in their French language exams. It's not going to make any difference as to whether an immigrant learns French or has access to francisation classes. It really is political tactics.
In addition to identity, Fréchette said she plans to focus on the cost of living, the economy, infrastructure and services.
Je vous annonce que notre gouvernement va déposer un projet de loi inspiré de la loi de Clare.
Fréchette is also calling on all parties to pass a bill inspired by Clare's law, already in place in other provinces. It would give women who fear for their safety a right to know if their partner has a history of violence. Another massive bill the CAQ hopes to adopt before the summer break is Justice Minister Simon Jolin Barrette's draft constitution. Opposition parties have described it as divisive and authoritarian. Olivia O'Malley, CTV News, Quebec City.
A weekend protest has sparked outrage and a police complaint to be filed by Labour Minister Jean Boulet. A Labour group, Alliance Ouvrière, set up a guillotine at the International Workers' Day protest in Montreal, and they used the guillotine to decapitate a papier-mâché effigy of Jean Boulet. Other unions denounced the incident. Boulet says he has complained to police.
It's an incitation, at least, to violence, and it is completely inadmissible in our democratic society. We cannot accept that.
Montreal police say they are investigating the incident. The next Governor General of Canada will be Louise Arbour. She is a former Supreme Court Justice and a former UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. She's got an impressive and distinguished resume, and she is bilingual. Judy Trin reports.
In choosing Louise Arbour as Canada's next Governor-General, the Prime Minister recognized her dedication to upholding the law.
It's a duty that calls for sound judgment, deep learning, and an unwavering commitment to the rule of law.
The 79-year-old is a former Supreme Court Justice who left her deepest mark on the global stage. She served as the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights and prosecuted war crimes in international tribunals. Arbour secured a conviction against perpetrators of genocide in Rwanda and indicted the leader of the former Yugoslavia.
In 1999, in the middle of a war, she signed the indictment of a sitting head of state, Slobodan Milosevic, for crimes against humanity and violations of the laws of war.
The appointment comes as the U.S. undermines global institutions. This is a reminder of what sets Canada apart.
Above all, we all strive to provide for each other in a spirit of equality and generosity.
Arbour's deep resume may help Carney avoid his predecessor, Justin Trudeau's problematic choices. Julie Payette was accused of abusing Rideau Hall staff, while Mary Simon, the first Indigenous Governor-General, is not fluent in French. But in a constitutional monarchy, as the King's representative, Arbour may not get support in Quebec, even though she speaks French and was born in Montreal.
The symbol in itself carries the idea of Canadian unity, but Democracy in Quebec also carries the idea of Quebec independence.
Separatist voices are also growing louder in Alberta. Arbor promises to be a unifying force.
I think there is a space for the Governor-General to be conducive of Canadian dialogue with respect to diverse. I've mentioned the diversity of our people, diversity of views, of opinions, of experiences, but all that, I think, in a spirit of respect and moving the country forward.
Louise Arbour will officially assume her role as Canada's 31st Governor-General in early June. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Charges today in connection with the two-car crash on Monday that injured 2 children. A 67-year-old man is facing charges of dangerous driving causing injuries. The 2 cars collided in the Beauport section of Quebec City. They hit 2 children who were on the sidewalk. One of the 2 children was seriously injured. Police arrested the 67-year-old driver last night. Someone stole $15,000 in underwear from a Montreal business over the weekend. The owner is asking people to be on the lookout for resellers. Here's Matt Gilmore.
At the Pop Underwear Warehouse, each item is carefully wrapped and packaged, ready to be shipped directly to customers.
We're a company that is mostly selling underwears and pajamas made in bamboo, so really, really comfortable, and also very bold. So we have like little pickles, it says deal with it.
Part of what makes the brand popular is the patterns change all the time.
When it's sold out, it doesn't come back.
For tops and pajamas especially, it's led to a large resale market on Facebook.
They don't really lose that much value, so if it's like not worn, they can probably resell the same price.
For the past 7 years, Jessica Denome and her staff have been leaving packages ready to be shipped outside their office door for delivery companies to pick them up.
It's just easy for everyone, and they already know what they have to take because in the warehouse it's pretty full.
But now she's rethinking her system. Last weekend, a man with a backpack and a garbage bag got into the building and took 80 packages worth $15,000. The whole thing caught on surveillance video.
And clearly you can see that the person is kind of new. So I just don't understand why someone would do that. It's pajamas, it's underwear, it's like, it's gonna be hard to just like put everything on Marketplace and like, it's different sizes, like it's a batch of different products.
Denome is asking her customers to keep an eye out on Marketplace for certain products that were stolen, and is warning fellow business owners to tighten up their security.
The fact that the building is closed, he had access to it, and he kind of took his time to come during the weekend and take these.
The theft isn't going to make or break her business, but Denome says it's worrying nonetheless, and she hopes, with the public's help, the person responsible might be caught. Matt Gilmore, CTV News.
The Missing Children's Network says there's been a 10% increase in the number of missing children cases in Quebec. But it also says that 85% of those cases are runaways, and that in most cases the runaways do come home.
But once a child runaways once, they run away many more times after that. And this is a big problem because the risk factor goes up, they become vulnerable, and they get in sexual exploitation and criminal gangs. So it's pretty alarming to see these numbers today.
The Missing Children's Network says it has online resources to help teachers and parents spot the warning signs for children who might be at risk. Montreal will be testing its warning sirens tomorrow. Sirens will go off at a dozen industrial locations across the city sometime between 9 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. In a real emergency, the siren is a warning to get indoors, close doors and windows, and turn off ventilation systems. The STM is asking people to mind their manners. Officials are asking riders to be more civil to each other, and it's put up posters that target bad behavior. Here's Denise Roberts.
In this early ad, bad for the Metro, ridership is presented as a friendly, communal experience. But ask riders today, and they paint a different picture.
Well, there are people with a cell phone that come over you and they just talk. You know, I don't know why everybody with cell phone needs somebody to see them.
I take the bus and Metro often, and I notice that the younger generation, they don't take off their backpacks, which really annoys me.
The most that I get disturbed with, I think it's personal space. I think metros are getting very, crowded right now.
Maybe just maybe leave more seats for elders. Sometimes people just don't give your seats.
The STM has heard those complaints and launched a campaign to encourage good behavior on its buses and metros. Posters are going up reminding riders to take only one seat, place backpacks at their feet, let people out before they enter, move towards the back of the bus, and wear headphones when using electronic devices. The STM says the campaign takes a positive approach, reminding riders that responsible behavior can create a ripple effect. Good brings good. While it may seem like common sense, etiquette expert Julie Blais-Comont says unfortunately these reminders are necessary.
It is a reflection of our society that civility in general is declining.
She says post-pandemic there's been a lack of social cohesion, and bad behavior is often praised, especially on social media. She says smiling, making eye contact, and saying thank you goes a long way.
That as we live together in society, that being polite, being civil, courteous, respectful will make it a lot easier and more enjoyable.
And while you don't have to be quite as joyful as the people in this ad, it will help to make for a nicer ride. Denise Roberts, CTV News.
Our roads are bad and our sidewalks aren't much better. One woman who uses a wheelchair says something has to be done about the sidewalks in Montreal. Here's Matt Grillo.
Navigating the city on her wheelchair can be a major challenge for NDG resident Lisa Freeman. Cracks, holes, and bumps on sidewalks might go unnoticed by many, but Freeman feels every one.
It may be reversing course or going way out of your way, which means you might miss a bus. It means you're often in the bike lane or in the road because the sidewalk isn't accessible, which is not as safe as it could be.
Lisa Freeman. As an advocate for those with reduced mobility, she took her concerns to the Côte-des-Neiges NDG Borough Council meeting to question elected officials about accessibility. The borough says it allocated more than $1 million in this year's budget for sidewalk repairs.
We're going to do better. We're in the phase of planning and documenting.
Freeman says it's not just the condition of sidewalks, but there can be obstacles too. Bins and signs left on sidewalks often means someone in a wheelchair is blocked.
In general, the sidewalks are sort of an afterthought, it often feels, and accessibility is often an afterthought. So most people don't have to think about, can I get into that cafe? Can I get to that bus stop?
She says it's not just an NDG issue. There are problems all over the city, but she hears more about repairing potholes on our roads than fixing the cracks on sidewalks.
I've had many people tell me that when they had their baby and they're using a stroller, suddenly the sidewalks are a problem. Looking at accessibility not as a convenience or a nice to have, but a need to have.
Freeman hopes she can once again share her experience when the borough holds public consultations on accessibility next month to help create a city that is accessible to all. Matt Grillo, CTV News.
Well, the fans are pumped. They're ready to cheer on the Habs against the Buffalo Sabres. And businesses are going to take advantage of that energy. Christine Long has more.
No more buffalo sauce, no more buffalo wraps, no more buffalo chicken burgers.
In St. Anne de Bellevue, where City Hall flies the Habs flag, Cunningham's Pub has changed the names of items on their menu.
These are the buffalo wings. These are Montreal wings.
Pub owner Jim Beauchamp says Buffalo may have originated chicken wings, but Montreal originated hockey.
As the Canadian will do, we wanted to erase Buffalo.
at Renzo's in Mile End. They've also scrubbed the B word from their menu, part of playoff fever. TSN 690 sports radio commentator Sean Campbell says the fans' excitement is understandable as the Habs make their way into the next series.
And this could be the year. The window is there. You could see the path to the Stanley Cup, and I think that's where the excitement is.
Monkey Sports has had a run on jerseys, and Elizabeth Mons says clients can only talk about one thing here.
We actually broadcast the game on all of our TVs, so everybody, whether they're on the arena side or they're just coming in to pick up their skates from their sharpening, everybody's watching. It's so exciting.
Yet, Campbell has a word of awareness.
Got to watch out for the Sabres. They're a big team. They skate hard. They got a great big forecheck. So the matchup is not going to be easy. You cannot walk into this series with any sort of overconfidence. You have to be confident, but don't be overconfident.
Smart advice for the team and their fans.
Go Habs, go.
Go Habs, go.
Oh, we're winning this. We're taking it home, baby. Let's go.
Christine Long, CTV News.
And the Montreal Victoire is also in the midst of their playoffs. Tonight, it is Game 2 against the Minnesota Frost. Montreal lost the first game. So, Kelly, you know, Montreal was doing so well in the regular season, and it's been struggling in the playoffs.
That's right, Mitsumi. It's been a trend that we've seen with the Montreal Victoire. The Victoire have the most regular season wins in PWHL history, but at the same time, the odd distinction of having the most playoff losses in PWHL history. And Saturday's Game 1 added to that tally. Despite a Laura Stacey hat trick, the Victoire went down 5-4. So Game 1 goes to the two-time champion Minnesota Frost. Now, keep in mind, in the PWHL, it's a best-of-5 series, not a best-of-7, so that adds some extra importance to winning here at home tonight. Fans are filing in here at Place Belle, and some of them have made quite a journey to get here. And no, I'm not just talking the DeCarry and the traffic there. I spoke to fans who drove in from Ottawa, another group from PEI who made the drive, and a woman who flew in for Game 2 from Marseille, France.
I was in France.
Oh, okay.
I just came today for the game, so...
You came from France for this game?
Yeah. I arrived this morning. So, yeah, why not?
Victoire is my number one. My friends in Ottawa aren't very happy with me for that, but I do love the Charge as well, but Victoire is my number one. Can't cheer against Poulin Stacey.
You drove for this game? Just for this game? How long was the drive?
Like 10 hours.
It was 10 hours if you didn't get that. By the way, the fan from France says she stays up till 1 in the morning to watch PWHL games, but fans here in Montreal won't have to do that. Puck drop is in about 45 minutes time in Game 2. A pivotal one for Montreal. We'll have full highlights at 11:30. Mitsumi?
Thanks very much, Kelly. And that's Kelly Gregg at Place Belle in Laval. And the Laval Rocket are facing elimination today in the Calder Cup playoffs. The Rocket are down 2-1 against the Toronto Marlins in the best-of-5 semi-final. If the Rocket win in Toronto tonight, the deciding Game 5 will be in Laval Friday night. And coming up, it was a violent collision. A jet skier crashes into a surfacing whale. And 3 people are dead, and it is a medical emergency on a cruise ship. There is a hantavirus outbreak on a cruise ship off the West African coast. 3 people are dead, 3 others are sick, and it's feared it might have been human-to-human transmission. John Venavali-Rao reports.
For passengers stuck on this ship, there remains a sea of uncertainty about when they'll be let off.
All we want right now is to feel safe, to have clarity.
The 147 on board remain anchored off Africa's Cape Verde, with officials now saying 7 possible cases of hantavirus were identified, including 3 deaths.
We have heard from quite a few people, on the boat. We hear you. We know that you are scared.
The WHO says passengers on board are being asked to remain in their cabins while disinfection measures are carried out. Ocean-Wide Expeditions, the company behind the cruise, says the atmosphere on board remains calm, despite the ship not being allowed to dock. On shore, it's a decision some in Cape Verde's support. It's good that the ship remains at a distance, this woman says. Port denials are rare, but do happen. Most famously in Japan during COVID. The passengers of the Diamond Princess were quarantined on board for 2 weeks. While this British cruise ship was turned away at the port of Gibraltar in 2020 because of a norovirus outbreak.
I don't think these situations happen very often, but unfortunately, if they do happen, there's not much you can do about it.
Lauren Christie says while the cruise line has a duty of care for its passengers, it also has the same for the ports it's visiting.
And so really, first and foremost, it has to ensure the safety of everyone first. And unfortunately, that might mean that you're stuck on a cruise ship.
The hantavirus is usually spread by rodents, but is now thought to have been carried on board by a Dutch couple who died. Officials think it likely spread on board human to human, which is rare and requires close contact.
This doesn't sound like hantavirus is going to be a major issue on other cruises. It sounds like a sad but very rare event.
Meanwhile, the WHO says Spain has agreed to accept the vessel, but no decision has been made about where passengers will be allowed to disembark. John Vanavalley-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
A jet skier hit a gray whale last night off the coast of Vancouver. A video shows the whale surfacing and spouting before the jet ski hits it and then flies into the air. The rider was seriously injured. There were people in the area watching the whale, which had been feeding in that area for the past week.
It was awful to watch, to be honest. I have a lot of concern for both the whale and the person. Right afterwards, there was 2 sailboats in pretty close to the man. And he yelled out saying, "I need help."
Witnesses say the whale swam away. Vessels are required to stay at least 100 meters from whales in Canadian waters. The ceasefire between Iran and the U.S. is barely holding, but Donald Trump insists America is in control, and he's urging Tehran to make a deal.
We have a situation where we have total control. As you know, the blockade's been amazing. It's like a piece of steel. Nobody's going to challenge the blockade. And I think it's working out very well. We're going to see. I can say this, Iran wants to make a deal. What I don't like about Iran is they'll talk to me with such great respect, and then they'll go on television, they'll say, "We did not speak to the president. We did not," I just spoke to, "We did not speak to the president." So they play games, but let me just tell you, they want to make a deal.
Earlier, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the U.S. operation to protect commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz is temporary, and that has raised questions about what that means. There is an ongoing protest high above Washington, D.C. A man is now in his 5th day on top of the Frederick Douglass Bridge. Guido Reichstadter climbed the bridge on Friday. He says it's in protest against the war in Iran. He says it's also in protest of a ban on artificial intelligence. 4 years ago, he was atop the same bridge to protest against the overturning of Roe versus Wade. And coming up, the right person at the right time.
I told him, I said, I'm a first responder. I'm going to put a tourniquet on your leg to help stop the bleeding.
And when every second counts, he saved a life that day. And 3 young people you'd want to have around if ever there's an emergency.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
Increasing number of abandoned buildings.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVMontreal.ca, your home for news.
Contrary to popular belief, influencers don't necessarily have to be young. In fact, there are many people who are over 50 and older who are making their influence felt. Edelman's Longevity Lab has just released a list called The Power of 55. Martine Saint-Victor is a communications strategist and she is general manager of Edelman. So nice to see you, Martine.
Always very nice to see you, Mitsumi.
So Martine, the people on your list over 50 still making a mark, how are they doing that?
So we have a list of 10 people in Quebec who online create content. So we've actually moved from using the term influencers to using the term content creators. And so they work with brands often to promote either products or services, but also it's often a reflection of who they are and what they do. For example, we have Ricardo on the list. Obviously, we know Ricardo for his lifestyle brand, for his recipes, and he's over 50. And the people on the list are 50 and over, but they are the people in Quebec that have amongst the most influence over people aged 55 and over. And the reason why that's important in Mitsumi is because this is an age group that too often brands forget, and which is really a misstep, because half of global spending over the world is made by people age over 55.
And not only are these people ignored, but what you're noticing too is that you're seeing a shift in how they're seen, right? Even in the workplace. You know, they're no longer seen as, oh, they're over 60, they're getting retired, you know, they're getting ready to retire. They're seen as being viable members of society as well.
Absolutely. We have come finally to appreciate experience more than we used to. And we call this period midolescence instead of adolescence, which is really a moment where people reflect, take a step back, and decide what they want to do next. And I think we have a perfect example in current events today. Louise Arbour was named our new Governor General. She's 79, and this is probably her third or fourth career. So she brings to the role a lot of experience, and here she is at 79 years old with a brand new position. And I think it's a perfect example of what we mean when we talk about the importance of longevity and the difference between what it means today and what it used to mean.
Well, I like to think that, you know, baby boomers changed the definition of what it was to be young, what it was to be middle-aged, and now baby boomers are changing what it means to be older. You're calling this the golden age of longevity.
I think it is. I think we're in this period for many reasons. First of all, look at how lifestyle has changed. Look at how we look at health differently. It's not about curing diseases right now. It's about preventing diseases. So as science is moving along, as the workforce also is moving along, we have no choice. We have to look at the richness of this age group and address it differently. And with our list, this is what we're trying to do. With our longevity lab, this is what we do as well. We work with brands to make sure they address the 55 and over differently than they used to. And so far, it's been very successful.
I noticed on the list, I think the names that people would most likely know of is Sugar Sammy, for one, and Ricardo, you've mentioned. What role do these people play in society right now, do you think?
Yeah, Sugar Sammy, it's interesting. First of all, he's the baby of the list. And so because he just turned 50. So what I have to say, this is the Quebec edition where it's 50 and over. In our other markets, we've made a list of people who are aged 55 and over. Quebec is always a little bit different. With Sugar Sammy, it's interesting because a lot of us have watched him grow. And obviously, when you look at the topics that he addresses, the way he addresses them, it's very different today than it was when he first started out. So he brings a different type of perspective, a different type of experience, which is mostly or partly based on his age. And so it's interesting to see this type of experience being recognized. And you look at other people on the list, like Isabelle Racicot, it's the same thing. She's been on television for 25 years. She's been on the radio for 25 years. What she brings today to her listeners is different. And so you've seen also her listeners and her TV viewers change because they've grown up with her. And it's just a way to address what we're living, how we're living it a little bit differently.
It's a wonderful idea. Thank you so much for this, Martine.
My pleasure. I see you soon.
Weather brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Well, we've got more rain on the way, certainly more than we saw today, and that's all tomorrow. And in addition to that, our temperatures are going to take a dip, especially when we compare it to today's daytime high. Believe it or not, we got up to 21 degrees, certainly warmer than the 17 that we would typically see, but didn't break a record. The one that was set in 1999 of 27.1 still stands. Now, putting our futurecast into motion, we see that we have a few spotty systems headed our way. It looks like we could see a shower or two closer to 9 p.m. But if you are headed out and about tonight, it isn't a bad idea to have your umbrella handy or a raincoat, and you're going to need it as we head into tomorrow. It most likely looks like in the early morning hours, Montreal will hit the rain around 4 a.m. and it looks like it's carrying through pretty much until the afternoon. We see a brief pause around 2 p.m. but once again, spotty system around Montreal in the later part of the day. But for the most part, we are looking at partly cloudy skies later in the day. And then overnight, we hold on to a few clouds, but not for long, because Thursday brings a mix of sun and clouds. So the good news is that we do have some sunshine in our forecast, at least in the next couple of days. Overnight, we're seeing a low of 8 degrees with those few showers, winds gusting up to 40 kilometers an hour. They calm down in the morning, but the rain starts early. Holding on to that overnight low of 8 degrees, we're only expecting a high of 9. We could see around 7 millimeters, and after the rain, we will be dealing with cloudy skies. Here's a look at our longer range forecast. Well, Thursday is going to be a high of 13 degrees, and once again, mix of sun and clouds, and we hold on to that 13 for Friday as well as sun and clouds. Saturday, we could see mostly cloudy skies, around 2 millimeters of rain overnight, a high of 17, which is seasonal. And on Sunday, well, the temperature dips only 1 degree, 16 degrees, but we're expecting another 7 millimeters of rain there, unfortunately, for Mother's Day, but I'm hoping that changes as we head closer to Sunday. Now, come Monday, we also see a high of 16 degrees, a mix of sun and clouds. And once again, Tuesday's looking pretty much similar to Monday. So overall, it looks like we have a few days that are cooler, but we will see some sunshine and a little rain sprinkled in there. And now a lotto reminder for you. Tonight, Lotto Max is offering a jackpot of $65 million plus 8 Max Millions, plus 65 prizes of $100,000. Buy your ticket in store or online. Good luck.
In Ottawa, an off-duty firefighter is credited with helping save the life of a pedestrian. The pedestrian was struck by a vehicle last week. Katie Griffin has more.
So this is the backpack that I was wearing on Friday.
Jason Murray was downtown Friday afternoon when he came upon a chaotic scene.
The car had smashed through the glass, and on the ground in front of the vehicle was a young man that was holding his leg.
A vehicle had struck a pedestrian and crashed into a building at Laurier Avenue and O'Connor Street. The off-duty firefighter knew he had to act fast.
Put down my backpack, and on my backpack I happened to have a tourniquet. And I told him, I said, I'm a first responder. I'm going to put a tourniquet on your leg to help stop the bleeding.
It worked. As a first aid instructor, he'd been carrying a tourniquet in his backpack for more than a decade. He called on others to help.
2 people went off and got first aid kits and brought those back. Another person went out and got some cloths to help with the wound. And I got him to focus on holding that pressure. And I'll say he was very calm based on the circumstance.
Ottawa police have charged the driver with careless driving causing bodily harm under the Highway Traffic Act.
So this is a call where every second mattered, and even though firefighters were first on scene 2 minutes after the initial 911 call, the work that our off-duty firefighter did assessing and treating the patient bought our firefighters the time they needed for when they arrived, and it's ultimately saved a life that day.
It really says a lot that the community sort of comes together in these times and sees somebody that needs help, and everyone tried to contribute in the way that they could.
Even with his experience and training, Murray says he felt a difference responding unexpectedly to an emergency off-duty.
There's calmness when you respond as a crew, and it's a little bit of a different feeling to certainly be the first person there, and what decisions you make will significantly impact how that person's sort of day finishes. So I'm just happy that I could play a helpful part and a positive outcome.
Katie Griffin, CTV News.
And 3 young people have been recognized for their quick thinking in an emergency. In Ottawa, it's called the Children's 911 Achievement Awards. Josh Morano reports.
When 11-year-old Kaylee Nathu's grandfather fell and hit his head, she knew she needed to act fast and be brave.
When you're calling 911, don't hesitate. You just have to do it.
On the other line, a dispatcher who helped Nathu stay calm and asked questions before help arrived.
They're explaining to me what to do and to get a cloth to put on my grandpa's head to put on the cut.
She was calm, cool, and collected, like a lot of people are not in that kind of situation. But she followed the directions very well.
A scary situation for Nathu until first responders arrived, but her parents say they're proud their daughter knew who to call.
She was able to call 911 and she knew she needed to help. So we're so proud of her that she was able to do that.
That bravery being recognized by the city at the Children's 911 Achievement Awards, honoring Nathu, 12-year-old Chrisley Dana Julsain, and 11-year-old Reem Alamad Alassan for their quick thinking during an emergency.
I was pretty scared and nervous, but I decided to stay calm.
Julsain called after her cousin fainted while at a birthday party.
They were telling me like instructions and telling me like what to do, and then I was following and listening closely so I could actually save her life.
And Alamad Alassan dialed 911 after she noticed her 5-year-old sister having trouble breathing.
My sister has an asthma.
Staying on the phone with paramedics, translating for her mother.
My English has improved and like I know what to say all the time. I'm gonna like answer all the questions so easily.
The award recognizes youth ages 12 and under who effectively used 911 in a crisis.
They were also not only able to call 911, but to tell us where they are, what is going on, answer our dispatchers' questions.
Nathu hopes her bravery will help other kids if they need to call 911 in an emergency.
If you don't call, maybe they can't get the help that they need or that you need, and you need to call so you can get the right help.
Josh Morano, CTV News.
And coming up, they seem harmless enough.
They have flavors like Jolly Rancher flavor and sour gummy worms. It's so easy to just pop open a cold can and chug it.
But they can contain dangerous amounts of caffeine. And fashion's biggest night attracts its share of protesters.
Menswear provided by Ernest. Elevate your style with Ernest. Your Health, brought to you by Gratianscap's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
There are growing calls in Quebec for a ban on the sale of energy drinks to anyone under the age of 16. A Quebec teenager died after drinking one. Consumer Reports looked into just how much caffeine these drinks contain. Pat Foran has more.
Energy drinks are colorful, sweet, and hugely popular with young people, now an important warning for parents. A new Consumer Reports investigation finds what's inside those drinks may be more than you're bargaining for. Energy drinks are everywhere these days. Many of them look like sports hydration drinks and taste like candy.
They have flavors like Jolly Rancher flavor and sour gummy worms. It's so easy to just pop open a cold can and chug it.
But inside that can is often a jolt of caffeine that can be far from harmless. Researchers found many drinks contain 2 to 3 times the daily caffeine limit recommended for teens, which is 100 milligrams. Too much caffeine has been linked to insomnia, anxiety, jitters, and heart-related symptoms, and teens may be especially vulnerable. To find out exactly what's in these drinks, Consumer Reports tested 23 popular energy drinks and shots.
We wanted to see how much caffeine is actually in the product.
The results, most drinks came close to or matched their labels, but some had up to 16% more caffeine than advertised. The American Beverage Association, an industry trade group, says parents should be in the driver's seat when it comes to what their children have for beverages. So what can parents do? Check labels, track total caffeine from all sources, and pay attention to sleep, because using caffeine to fight fatigue can create a cycle that's hard to break. The bottom line, when it comes to energy drinks and teens, even one can be too much. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Some 5,000 girls took over Maisonneuve Park today to promote active living. The event was organized by Fit Spirit. It's a Quebec organization. It encourages physical activity among girls. There was music, a march, among other activities. Organizers say 90% of teenage girls don't get enough exercise.
The goal is to have the girls enjoy physical activity in a non-competitive way, just for the fun of it with their friends.
129 schools from across Quebec took part today, and there will be other events like this one in Quebec City, Trois-Rivières, and Matane.
Business news brought to you by Au Vieux de Louvre, where memories and meals come together.
Canada exported more product in March than it imported, and that is a reversal from February. Mirella Fernandez has more.
The trade surplus, as it's called, was about $1.8 billion in March, and it is the first one we've seen in 6 months. Exports increased 8.5%. Imports fell 1.6%. Canada exported more gold and energy to the world, with the start of the war in Iran paralyzing the Strait of Hormuz. And about $49 billion worth of cars and light trucks were sent to the U.S. in March, and that's the highest it's been in a year. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to $73.40. West Texas Intermediate down over $4 to $102.27. Western Canadian Select up over $5 to $83.88. And the TSX lost 71 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Mirella Fernandez.
The Met Gala is known as fashion's biggest night, and from Beyoncé to Canadian actor Hudson Williams, the guests put on quite the show in New York City last night. The annual fundraiser for the Metropolitan Museum of Art's Costume Institute never fails to bring out all the glitz and the glamour and the bizarre. This year's theme, Costume Art, explored the relationship between the body and clothing. And outside the gala, protests. The honorary co-chairs of the gala and lead sponsors of the museum exhibit were Amazon founder Jeff Bezos and his wife Lauren Sanchez. The protesters called for a boycott of the gala and tried to call attention to wealth inequality and workers' rights. It's been a bad allergy season this year, I know. And Caroline, there is good reason for it.
Yes, you know it, Mitsumi. It is a bad season, so we're going to be hearing from an allergist tonight about what is going on with the trees and the environment that is making this such an uncomfortable spring allergy season for so many allergy sufferers. We're also going to fill you in why paramedics held a protest today outside the National Assembly, and we will have highlights and a post-game look at the Victoire tonight. As we heard earlier from Kelly, they always do great in the regular season, but seem to struggle in the playoffs for some reason. We're going to find out if they can break that playoff curse tonight. Mitsumi.
Thanks, Caroline. And when we come back, Bakari and his best friend winning over hearts.
Stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here tonight on CTV.
For breaking news and local news that matters to you, download the CTV News app right now by scanning the QR code on your screen using your smartphone. Or you can also go to our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca.
Different species can become fast friends. Just check out Bakari and Curtsy. Here's Danny New.
Look at that. A fox and a hound playing together.
The fox and the hound showed us how two different species could be best pals in the movies.
We've been sharing stories about what makes Wild Adventure special.
But a theme park in the Peach State is proving this can happen in real life, too.
It's crazy how they're just hanging out together right now.
Absolutely. This is pretty much all day.
It's the norm. Bakari the giraffe and his gal pal Curtsy the zebra have been winning over hearts at Wild Adventures in southern Georgia.
Is that something you've seen before?
We have not seen this before. This has been very unique for us.
Animal care specialist Sarah Plain says this first started about a year ago when then 2-year-old Curtsy started hanging out with then 6-year-old Bakari. Before long, she says they were snacking together, grooming each other, and
we will sometimes, especially on a nice sunny day, see him laying down in the yard, and she'll usually curl up next to him.
Oh my gosh.
And for the record, other zebras and even Bakari's older brother also live at the park, but these two just love each other. One commenter on Instagram writing, "This is absolutely the cutest pairing." As Zoo General Manager Donald Spiller put it,
when we're at the gate opening the park for the day, people will say, where are Bakari, where's Curtsy, where can I go see them?
However, here is where the story gets kind of spooky. Let's take a look at the right shoulder of Curtsy. Doesn't that black stripe kind of look like a giraffe? Do you see the head and the neck?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's a higher power at work there with that for sure.
Excuse me, you're biting my butt.
And thankfully, unlike in Madagascar, this zebra does not have to worry about her best friend being a carnivore, so she can take advantage of having a much bigger friend.
You can see Curtsy getting the shade underneath Bakari, so she's smart.
In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
How cute is that?
So cute.
Okay, so do I have time to take Bunzy out for a walk before it starts to rain tonight?
You should be okay. So there's a few showers, but it looks like the majority of the rain is going to be in the early morning hours, really impacting your morning commute. Now, when everything is said and done, we're not expecting a significant rainfall, but let's break it down here for you. Now, 8 degrees overnight. Our winds will be gusting up to 40 kilometers an hour. The rain does start early. We could see around 7 millimeters of rain, then cloudy skies, only expecting a daytime high of 9 degrees, and typically we should be around 17. So you may want to wear a warmer raincoat tomorrow, but the good news is Thursday and Friday, no rain in sight.
And that's it for us. Have a good evening. Stay well. Good night.